as usual, I went down a really weird rabbit hole.
Me too.
So I
Okay,
spent
good.
half the week on that.
Okay, good.
And then, but I did do what I said I was going to do. So I researched Eric the Red's property and the people there, and
Ooh,
also
I'm
whatever we
excited
need to
to
talk
find
about.
out. Yeah, where you went.
I went to studying. I started out with Saint Olga. What would I pray to her for? Quickly lost interest in that and went
Okay.
straight to finding the old charms like sea charms,
Yes.
bells, Galder, and found a couple really cool ones for our next episode.
Well, okay, for sure the next episode.
I think so because, yeah, I think so. I don't know.
Okay.
But that's where I went. Where did you go?
Well, I went to research Thorfinn Karlsefni, Gudrid's new husband,
Yes,
which
good.
then got me going through his lineage, which
Good.
then you don't go very far and you end up in Ragnar Lothbrok and Queen Aslan and Thora, which is what that whole Viking show was based on.
Oh, I don't know anything about. I didn't watch any Viking show because it makes me jealous that I'm not knowing everything about it.
I didn't watch all of it because then also I'm like, oh, this is going to confuse me because they blend everything. They have a little guy that has his friend shipbuilder that's kind of weird and quirky, but then he doesn't belong in that story. He's obviously the guy that was Eric the Red's, or no, I think it's Thorfinn. I think it's the guy that went over to Greenland with them. Kind of the weird pagany quirky, but he was really good at shipbuilding.
Guy. Yeah.
So I stopped watching it for that reason, but then you get into the whole Brynhild poetic Edda, her with Gunnar, and so that's the rabbit hole I kind of went down. So I think we'll blend.
Interesting. I got lost in the Havamal, the story of the lay of Svipdag.
Havamal.
It's a boy who he's having trouble. His mother's dead. He calls her from the beyond.
Oh, yes. Grona. Okay.
Yes. I got into her spells and stuff.
So I have a question. Okay. Hello and welcome.
Wait, yeah, maybe I do have an introduction.
Okay. But then I have a question about, well, then we'll ask about it. But about Groa, because she was one I wanted to talk about in the Sorceress episode. But it's interesting she's coming up for you.
She's coming up a lot in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So I had to order it. Yeah. I don't have that. So
I think maybe I printed it out.
You're right. But I have it, and it's the sweetest thing she said for her son.
I know.
So,
we need to talk about that. She's wanting to be talked about.
Yes. I think we need like a theme day. I wrote them down yesterday. I just weirdly thinking about things, but where did we should do some episodes like kidnapped grandmothers episode, all the ones that were kidnapped, or helicopter parent grandmas, like the one Eleanor, the ones that were regents for their princes.
So many.
Yeah. Or 4D chess grandmas, like the one that burnt all the military people down,
Yes.
And convent grandmas. Anyway.
Queen Aslak, who I wanted to talk about today, she'd be a helicopter grandma. Oh, Groa's incantation.
Yes. So I dug deep into that.
Yeah.
Which I think will relate to, So
welcome. Can I ask real quick about it?
Yeah.
So the video you sent me, Heilang, the band that you love.
Yeah.
So they did Groa's incantation along with like a ritual thing?
Yes. So
that speak to you that they belong together, or how do you interpret that?
I went and I like them as a group because they're pretty historical, And so all the instruments are historically
Yes, I love that.
Heilung. But the main guy does a podcast and he explains so what
That's what I
there's
watched. The Trouse, right? On
yeah, and
Trouse.
what they're saying, each of their songs, they actually are pretty much doing the ritual reconstructed on stage at their concerts,
Okay,
but more of
that's
a
rough.
philosophical, theoretical way.
Yeah. Yes.
Why does that feel rough?
Well, it was a rough
Well,
ritual.
yeah, yeah, it was. But
So
it
tell me the
also
philosophical
well,
part.
the philosophical part of this ritual and the part that so in their song they bring in the Groa one, they
Yes.
bring in the the Merborg charms. Have you heard about
Okay.
that source? That source and then some other Indo-European traditions of binding and unbinding ceremonies.
Right. Yes.
Right? Is that what
Right.
you
I
okay.
understand the binding and unbinding for sure.
Mm.
So
And
are they using Groa's incantation as an unbinding ceremony for death? Okay.
as for
Okay, I could see
anything,
that.
it can be for freedom from anything. And so when Groa's son called to her from beyond, like to come, he said, "Help me with my stepmother. She's being mean to
Mhm.
me." And so she sort of unbinds this, whatever he's worried about, and loosens it. So and gives him wisdom on how to deal with it. Right.
Yes, and so in this poem, each, I guess, stanza, each section
Yeah.
is an unbinding because she talks about water, she talks about all the different bad it kind of reminds me of what Freya no, it wasn't Freya. Oh, that, the saga with the gods, with the mother who went through and, for her son, got every element, every single thing to promise not to harm him. So this is kind of a similar
Yes.
thing where instead of getting the things to not harm her son, she's protecting her son from any possible
Yes.
demise,
Yeah.
drowning. Yeah.
Which is interesting. So you see that a lot, and I keep thinking about. So anyway, we could get into it now, or we could get into it later. But she
Well,
definitely wants to be talked about,
yeah.
and I think it's kind of sweet. But we could bring that in. We could talk about her when we talk about like next week packing the ship and doing the sea
Okay.
charms.
Okay.
Unless you're you tell me where you're ready to
Well,
go.
let's start talking. I want to hear what you were doing,
I'll
and
just
then
do a
let's just see
quick
what happens.
intro. Yeah, I'll just do but because I know we spoke about, maybe this is a work meeting, I don't know, but
No, no,
I know
no. This is an episode.
we spoke about you had some more things you wanted to say about Olga,
I
right?
did, but then I did. But I think she'll come. I think she's a
I do
foundation we
too.
laid. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't
Alright.
think she's a linear story
Okay.
at this
So,
point.
welcome to the Distaff podcast. We are halfway through season 2, and we are using Gudrid the Well Traveled life story to kind of touch base and just explore this world at 1000 AD with the Nordic, the Celtic, but pretty much the Norse peoples, and especially the women who happen to be our grandmothers. So we're kind of got a personal aspect to it. Gudrid, if you haven't been following along, I recommend going to episode 1, season 2, episode 1 to kind of get familiar with the whole story of Gudrid. Right now, we have her in she's 19 or 20 in Greenland. And I'll recap what happened last week or where we are in the story. She grew up in Iceland. She and her father and 30 other close kin moved to Greenland. The landing in Greenland was rough. They got shipwrecked and they were taken in by a Greenland landholder who had to keep them for the winter. And we see Gudrid as a young woman. She was raised, we think, kind of apprentice in the pagan traditions of divination and healing magic and basic household magic. But she converted to Christianity basically under the influence of her father, correct?
I would say
You
so,
think?
yeah. Mhm.
Um,
And
but
his yeah.
yeah, go to season 2 and episode 2 and 3 for a recap of that, the Christianity stuff. Anyway, in Greenland, she participated in a pagan ceremony because there was starvation and famine there. But it turned out to be a beautiful moment because she was told whatever your spiritual gifts are, they'll travel with you, whether you're Christian or pagan. So,
Cool.
um,
Mhm.
Gudrid then married Eric the Red's son. His name was Thorstein,
Mhm.
and he is Leif Erikson's brother. And again, go to the earlier episodes for a real foundation of that. But just to catch you up quickly. So today, I'm going to describe. So last week at the Longhouse, Gudrid and her first husband, Thorstein, they had gotten married, this wonderful ceremony at his father's homestead. They went to their new homestead, and a famine or a plague, something struck, and people were dying. It was pretty macabre scene. But
Yeah.
she receives, so her husband dies, this young, vital husband passes
Handsome.
away. So
Yeah.
she's a widow by 20. And so this week we have her, after the loss of that husband, she returns back to her father and mother-in-law's homestead, which is Eric the Red's homestead, but he's dead when she comes back.
Yes.
And she's lost her own father in the meantime, and she's lost her husband. So
Mhm.
Gudrid is really a traveler. Every time we see her in the saga, she's traveling from either one spiritual place to another or a physical place to another. Um,
Yeah.
so Eric the Red's homestead. So who was left at Eric the Red's homestead was his wife Theotild and his brother Leif.
Mhm.
Leif or Leaf? I always think of the Leaf guy
That
from the 70s.
1970s. Yeah,
He
the
was
late
so cute. Leif Garrett
yeah.
or
It
whatever.
is probably Leif, I guess.
I don't know. It's probably Leif.
We'll have to
Um,
ask our Danish viewers.
yes, we need to actually welcome our Danish
Yes.
listeners who are getting us known there, and we appreciate your attention, and we would love your comments. We're not afraid. So school us, help us pronounce, help us,
Yeah.
give us any kind of anything you'd like. And we love all our listeners and really appreciate your help as a community of historians.
Yeah. We found out we people like us in Denmark, so that was either
Yes.
we're a comedy show because of how we
we can accept that.
Yeah, I like comedy. That'd be great.
Yeah. But we are categorized under history, which makes me happy.
Yes,
So,
good.
okay. So I'm going to tell you, we know we've talked about Eric the Red. He was exiled from Iceland, ends up in Greenland, and has children, and they have a farmstead called Brattahlid, and that's in Greenland, located in the eastern settlement on a sheltered fjord called Eric's Fjord. Okay, Brattahlid sat on a grassy slope above the ford, benefiting from one of the most fertile and sheltered spot in Greenland. Warm enough by Norse standards for grazing cattle, sheep, and goats, the name itself means roughly steep slope, describing the hillside terrain. The ford provided rich fishing, seal hunting, access to sea routes that connected the settlement to Iceland, Norway, and eventually Vinland, which is North America,
I
which
know.
brings to pass Gudrid's well-traveled status. Um, like all high status Norse farms of the era, and we're talking late 10th, early 11th century, Brattahlid would have consisted of a cluster of structures. A longhouse is the main hall, which was a thick-walled turf and stone building, and it was low and earth insulated with a central hearth running the length of the hall, which is so cozy.
Yeah, I know, I
Um,
love that.
there's raised sleeping and sitting platforms along the wall, and it would have made a smoky, firelit interior. And as Sarah's mentioned before, I love your image of, they love to decorate, and sometimes they had little glints of gold flecks, right? On
Yeah, little
in the
they
ceilings.
found in digs, these little gold, almost like I pictured them almost like rectangular shaped, and they would be gold etchings on them, and some of them were comedic, some of them were, you know, Thor was here, or,
Yeah.
I Gudrid likes beer, but some of them are sweet, but they would, yeah, like we talked about before, these, Vikings are not to be imagined as plain, drab, dreary homes or clothing or people at all. They really cared about their appearance, they cared about their environment, they cared about they wanted to make an impression for people when you walked into the longhouse. It was meant to be kind of uh establish a status, I think, but also just something they could be proud of. And the way it was described before, that you picture walking into this dark, and now my mind's going, there's this really cool museum up there, I think in Iceland, of an actual
Mhm.
longhouse that
Oh,
you can go in.
yes.
I'm sure there's in Norway, I'm sure there, but that you can go in and it's lit the proper way with the fire. And then the firelight not only would reflect these little gold things that were hung on the wall or they're on people's helmets, and just the image of that would have been very beautiful, I think, and yeah, just in tune with everything was decorated, everything was tried to be beautiful. So, and they lived in a beautiful place, so it makes sense that they'd want to have beauty inside and outside. Maybe I'm too poetic today.
And it's very no, and it's very, it's the hygge, Hygge, that
Mhm.
Danish have about being cozy, and when you're in
Yeah.
your home, it's kind of a separate space than the cruel world outside, and,
And yeah,
so
and I
you
just read something, maybe you were reading it too, unless it was one of my weird books, about the importance of the hearth.
yeah, oh,
What
yeah.
was that we were reading?
Oh, we could talk about that. Well, part of the Distir is kind of the idea of the hearth. The woman, is in charge of keeping these home fires lit or whatever,
Mhm.
essentially. But yeah, that
And
was a
how it
fun
was so
conversation.
political, almost like, you can't have a nation without a hearth. You have to have the hearth first, and then you build a nation off of it. I don't know what it was. I've read so
Yes.
many
And
weird
on
things
some
lately,
of
but
their hearths that they've raised in the digs, they have like they have Thor on their hearths.
Mhm.
They have it, they'll do blessings or altars, it's kind of a sacred, it's symbolic and practical at the same
Yeah,
time and
right.
beautiful. Just like,
Which is what women are.
oh, yes.
That's their purpose on the planet.
Yes, in fact, okay, I won't get into that.
Do it, let's do
Um,
it.
no, I remember I was dating not a happy guy, and he's like, "I think you make a good accessory to me." I'm like, "Holy crap. This is not my path."
No, that's
So anyway,
misguided
I shouldn't have
truth.
shared that probably, but I
No.
remember, I mean, it's just like a dumb thing 40 years ago
Yeah,
people thought, I guess, but, yep, so
yeah.
yeah. Anyway, speaking of, it says, Eric, so in the Longhouse, Eric's seat of power, um, it said it was likely the largest in the settlement.
Oh, probably.
So Eric got a high
I'm
seat.
sure. He got his high seat and his columns, I'm sure, and he's good to go,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I know
Um,
he's a funny character. It's
yeah,
not
we
hard
need
to
to talk
flesh him
about
out
him.
as a uh just a probably a really fun. He's Eric the Red is I think the way you picture him. I don't know.
Do you want to do a brief review of him or just a funny anecdote or?
He's just came from a hard his father was exiled when he was a little boy, moved from Norway to this northernmost part of Iceland, which I am finding that I think most of the Norse, Norwegian, Norway people settled northern Iceland, and I think a lot of our Irish or more blended from the whatever, not Anglo-Saxon, but your Irish, Scottish, maybe even Denmark.
Mhm,
People came and settled the southern part of Iceland,
mhm.
I'm wondering. But
Yeah,
yeah, he just is a fighter and a lover
yeah,
and a loyal friend because
yeah,
he had men leave their lands for him and leave their families and go in exile with him, and
yeah.
he just seemed like someone you either would love or hate him, and if you loved him, seemed like you would be loyal to him, and if you hate him, you would be loyal to him. Your hatred would be a certain type of loyalty too, you can
Mhm,
stop thinking about him or um, yeah, and he loved his wife, and he built her a
mhm,
chapel even though he was pagan through and through,
mhm,
and she was Christian diehard, and he loved his kids. He supported them on all their big plans and big trips and big errands. He
mm,
took in Gudrid when her dad died. Like you said, her dad and Thorstein died the same time, so she
mm.
inherited her dad's money, whatever that would have been.
Yeah,
So she came to Eric the Red's house not as a poor woman, but she came for comfort, I think, and for family and for so I truly think they were her family too,
yeah,
in a
yeah.
sense. She didn't marry one of the other brothers or anybody, but she ends up marrying an outsider, but she went to them for which just says that and we have the story of Eric the Red around the same time of famine, he was supposed to give a feast and he was really depressed.
Oh,
So you just
yeah.
picture this big
He
man
does
on his
get
big feet,
sad.
and he's kinda like, "Mm," and they're, "What's wrong, Eric?" And, "Oh, I don't have enough stuff. I need to make a feast for you. We need to have a party, and I don't have enough to make a party," which is part of the job of the leader. You are
Yeah?
required to give. It's a part of you as a person. It's the Norse culture and religion. If you are the leader, you give. And so he didn't have enough, and they helped him, and his people brought things for the feast and made it be a big beautiful feast that he got to have the honor of, but it was his people that brought him the supplies and the food. And so it just shows that I picture this as a happy, buzzy kind of um world. Sorry, can I pause?
Yes. And I'm thinking about, do you want me to just talk or wait?
Yes, maybe we'll just
Okay.
record as did just now.
I'm thinking about you just mentioned this busy world. It would have been he would have created his own world because he came to Greenland, he picked the fjord, he picked the place he wanted to live in, this steep slope. And he, in addition to his longhouse, they had separate byres, which were their animal barns. Of course, it's so cold. The animals, like in many parts of Scandinavia, the animals would have lived not in their residential
Sometimes in there.
areas
Yeah.
sometimes, but not as derogatory as people say, but
No,
their buildings were attached to each other.
attached. They could smell it probably, but they weren't walking in
Yeah.
and stuff.
And I think they really were good at caring for their animals because if they're worried about smells, they would
Yeah,
have
they
been
are.
careful, right?
Mhm.
But then he'd have all his storehouses. He'd have a boathouse near the water for his ocean-going, vessels because his sons and Gudrid and daughters, they were going on a lot of adventures. Um So he had that, and then he would have had a blacksmith, he would have had other artisan buildings. So it's almost like when he's sitting in that big high chair, you could see how he felt, like, "This is my world, these are my people," and everyone was loyal to him. He had
Yeah.
brought all his friends to this place and, you know, kind of
And he
remarked.
doesn't know oh, sorry,
Go
he
ahead.
doesn't know at that point the legend he's going to be. Or maybe he has a small glimmer maybe because he did establish Greenland, but he doesn't know about Vinland. Well, maybe
Right,
a little bit. But
right.
he's just in his own sense of himself is a legend in his own mind, kinda, I
Yes,
guess.
totally. Like the when he was gonna go on the big adventure, we've already talked about it, but he thought he was gonna go, but he fell down and he couldn't go on the ship?
Couldn't go on the ship.
Yeah, we'll talk. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a hard moment for him, but,
Yeah.
his wife, Theodhild, we believe they kinda grew up together in Iceland or would have known each other.
Mhm.
Um, and I'll just his she converted to Christianity, brought back by their son Leif Erikson, which we'll talk about in a minute. I'm just gonna do a
Yeah.
basic overview. And so she insisted that Eric build her a small church nearby. Um, Eric insisted it be placed away from the main farm as he remained pagan. And also the funny, not funny, but Theotild was so intent on having a church that she refused to sleep with him. In some accounts, it's until he built her the church, and in others, just till he became Christian, I guess,
He
which
never
never
did,
happened.
so we'll assume it was till they built the church.
Yeah. And archaeologists have excavated the remains of her church and also the associated Christian cemetery, which makes it one of the earliest Christian structures in Greenland and Iceland. Gudrid, as we discussed, arrived to Brattahlid under dramatic circumstances. So she's the widow of Theodhild's son,
Youngest
Thorstein,
son, her baby
youngest
son.
son. So Theodhild as well was a widow, a fairly new widow.
Mhm.
And so I imagine they might have, and both being Christian among pagans, they most likely formed a bond, I like to think. Um, and so she was taken in by Leif, which is the Eric's oldest son, and lived at the farm for a period before marrying. Okay, so now today, here she is at Eric the Red's farm, Brattahlid, and she's a new widow, and we are going to talk about her second husband coming over the horizon in his Viking ship, and it's Thorfinn Karlsefni. Um, and sagas describe the farm hosting a lively wedding feast that winter, suggesting a bustling, well provisioned household with enough food and energy for the celebration. So, with that, one more thing about the atmosphere of Brattahlid. It was a busy cosmopolitan place by the Norse standards. So some like to think he was isolated, Eric was, but he really wasn't. He had his son Leif going to Norway, living with the king of
Yeah.
Norway, coming back, and it became a hub for ships coming and going to Norway, Iceland, and Vinland, full of sailors, traders, and adventurers. Um, okay,
Yeah, that's great.
that
So,
was a
then do you wanna
long
talk about who
intro.
Thorfinn is and how he was able to even win
Yes.
Gudrid's hand and heart? You
Yes,
know?
Sarah. I would love to hear about that.
Um, I can get off on a lot of tangents on this, though, so you have to rein me in if I'm getting too far, right?
I think the point of this show is tangents,
Okay.
but
Where,
we'll try.
like, so where were you gonna go after this, though? Where am I trying to
I was
circle
gonna
back
turn
to?
it over to you. So we're gonna talk
Oh,
about, um, Thorfinn we're gonna talk about Gudrid meeting Thorfinn.
okay.
I did wanna mention also living near or around Brattahlid was, Freya or
Do you want to get
Freyja.
to Freydis?
We're gonna
Freydis?
have to talk about Freydis
Is it
when you're
Freydis? Is
ready.
that how you would say? Well, let's talk
I
about real quick because we were talking about Eric and Torthild's uh marriage, and that he probably did have there was polygamy. I think we talked about this last time. There was
Right.
polygamy, there were concubines. Concubines was called a frilla,
Mhm.
Frilla. Um, so it is possible that we're listing off Torthild's kids, right? Leif, Thorvald, Leif, Thornstein, her 3 sons.
Mhm.
And then Freydis comes into the sagas later, but they're not really sure if she's definitely Eric the Red's daughter, but we don't know if she's Torthild's daughter. If she
Right.
could come from another wife or another concubine. The reason I think they like to do that is because she is kind of a wild child. Maybe they don't want to associate her with the Christian side of the family. Maybe they want to keep her on the pagan side. I don't know. In this
That could make a lot of
retelling,
sense.
she
I
does
mean,
some pretty terrible things, but
she's so different than Gudrid. It's so
so
interesting.
different. So different. Yeah. But she's
Yeah.
there. I mean, just
I
because
mean,
she
she
did
could
bad things, you don't
be
have to write her off as fiction, right?
yeah, I mean, Leif had a baby he brought over from
Right.
Norway with a random girl and,
Well, and he had a
right?
woman from Ireland, right? That he got pregnant.
Oh.
And she said that I will send my child over to you. And he did. She sent this kid over, and he was received as kind of creating a cursed. There's a saga of the haunting of something,
Mm,
um, blamed on him because it happened the same year. This child of Leif's from Irish princess, I think,
mhm.
showed up in Iceland, and then there were all these hauntings and disturbances, and so kind of he's
Ooh,
blamed for it
fun.
a little bit.
Yeah,
So,
Freitas had some yeah, so interesting.
is it
I
Iceland or
mean,
Greenland? I don't know, I can't
Iceland,
remember.
I think.
Iceland,
Iceland was
okay.
because they all headed back there, I think. Okay.
Okay, so Thorfinn. So if you look at the map of Iceland,
Let me see
um,
if I can.
which I love, we have to go there someday.
Yes.
It speaks to me,
Yeah,
speaks
me
to us.
too.
And people that have gone on vacation there, it's pretty outdoorsy and relaxing, and
It'd be so cool.
you know. But if you looked at the map of Iceland, we have everything going on, and then we're coming back to Iceland for a minute. So
Okay.
all this stuff, Brattahlid, and everything is Greenland. So we've been talking Greenland, the little chapel. It's where
Mhm.
Gudrid becomes a widow. Her dad dies. So now we're going to talk about Thorfinn, who his history a little bit, and
Okay.
he's from Iceland, and where he grew up in Iceland. So remember that Eric the Red and Gudrid and her dad are kind of from this little Bay Area, um, and which is like the western
Mhm.
side,
Mhm.
northwestern tip. This is where Eric the Red landed, in this whole
Okay.
peninsula. They're all running up and down here. Here's kind of where Gudrid's dad, right, had
Uh-huh.
land.
Kinda more going south on the western side.
Yes.
Mhm.
And then Thorfinn's people are from this part, which is I'd say it's the northernmost
Oh.
middle part. I'm sorry, I have to pause. Ugh. Can I just call her real quick?
Yeah, of course.
I wish I could pronounce the name of these bays better.
Okay, bye.
Love you. Okay, sorry.
Cute.
Okay.
Starbucks and all
I
the
know,
people
sorry.
giggling.
Okay, so he's from the northern part, and called the Skagaford Bay area. So that's your northern central Iceland. And the actual, if you really want to get specific, I didn't write it down. think it's called the Reynisford, Reynin, Reynians.
Okay.
So anyway, he's from close enough where I'm sure that they all met at the All thing. So he probably knew Eric the Red that way. But far
Yeah.
away enough, I don't think they were. I don't know if she would have known him as a girl, you know?
But he would have known of Eric, right?
I think so. I
Like
think in the All thing, it
raunchy
was all of
stories?
Iceland, right?
Oh, yeah, and they all heard everything.
Mhm.
So, yeah, okay.
Depending on who went. So they would have known who was getting exiled.
Mhm.
So, and he is a longtime Icelander. I think 2, 3 grandpas back, then you get back to Norway with him.
Okay.
Um, and I can talk about that because if you go far enough back in one lineup, he's actually descended from Odd the Deep-Minded. So he comes from her. Yeah.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
Wow. So
So
she is up in everyone's DNA and up in
he's
all their
in everybody's.
business?
Yeah, so Odd Kettle's daughter
Wow.
and King Olaf had a Thorstein the Red, that son. Do you remember him?
Yes. Raunchy.
And yes, and then Olaf Tornstein's son, and then Reverend. This is the thing that's interesting about Thorfinn. There's a Reverend who would be his great great grandpa would have been a Reverend. So if
So
Odd was,
Catholic?
I guess, in Norway.
Oh, wow.
No, I don't know if that's right. That might be wrong. That might be a lie.
Well, that's really crazy then.
That would
That
be
was
in
an
Iceland. That would
early
be.
reverend. Wow.
So
Huh.
then Thorfinn, then you can assume, okay, he's got Christianity in his line coming that way.
Okay.
Then you had then you have Thordahild Tordar daughter, his grandma, Thordr Snarson, and then Thorfinn. And his actual name is Thorfinn Tordarson, Thordarson. So his dad is
Yeah.
Torda. The Karlsefni, it's kind of a nickname. And I kind
Really?
of went down a rabbit hole there because we had talked about
Okay.
interesting Viking names last time.
Yeah.
And um the Karlsefni stands for promising young man or making of a man. So he, even as a young man, he was promising. And isn't that cool? Because we got that vibe from him on our
Yeah.
own, that he was just a cool guy,
Yeah.
a go-getter, you
Yeah.
know?
Like different I don't know, I keep thinking about poor Einar, but so
Yeah, different
different than
breed.
Einar.
Same
This
same
guy.
same potential, same everything,
Yeah.
but and maybe it's the words they put in our head in these sagas calling him,
Right.
but
Right.
his actual Karl Sneffy means a promising boy or the making of a man. So he's this, like,
What
man with
language
potential.
is that?
It would be Icelandic.
Huh.
Karlsefni?
Interesting. Okay. So
So
that
he's
is an indicator then, like that's his name, his
that's his Viking name. Yeah. So then I
Wow.
went through that, and because I got onto some Reddits about, and there were people from Iceland, because there's this manga or this cartoon thing that is
Mm.
called the Vinland Saga, which researching all this stuff makes it a little bit harder because they're fictionalizing some of it or fan fictioning,
Yeah, which is
and people.
okay.
That's fine.
It's good for them to dream
Yes,
and
that's true.
imagine.
Yes. So you just have to be careful when you're like, but Thorfinn Karlsefni is a hero in that world, in this cartoon. People love him. So there was this whole
Huh.
Reddit about people saying, I'm related to him. I'm related to him. He's my 36th great grandpa, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like,
Really?
oh, that's cool. Cause that's kind of what gets us excited too. I love that.
I love that rabbit hole.
Yeah. And then, so then people in Iceland are like, well, if you live in Iceland, we're all related to each other. Like on dating apps, you have to do, if you swipe right or left, whatever you do when you want to match with somebody, when you swipe, you automatically want to find out someone. I don't know. Oh, see? And did you see those light bubbles?
I hate that. Why are they doing that?
Oh, no. But anyway, they're saying that in Iceland, everybody's descended from the same people. So everybody's related. And so much so that before you date someone, you want to have their genealogy poll to make sure you're not cousins or something. Like,
Wow.
and so, but then if you come off Iceland, people like us, and it is kind of cool and exciting. That's not
So we
as
could,
common.
well, we couldn't marry him. We could marry him, not then, but why we, that's okay. Gudrid married him. So it's
Gudrid
okay.
married him. But everybody's related. I mean, Gudrid's not related because her dad was the slave of Odd. But so anyway, it was interesting. So a lot of people are really excited.
Wow.
Oh, but this is why. Because then they said it's harder. The people, then I was reading the local Iceland, their conversation, Icelandic people, and they're saying that the having a last name, this whole Thordsson and Eric's daughter and stuff like that, wasn't
Mhm.
really a thing. It was, nobody had surnames really. It
Oh,
was more
right.
that people were known by this nickname. That was the important thing. So if you showed up in a town and you asked for Eric Thordsson, um, oh, there's even a funny thing I think we talked about that if someone shows up and asks for like Sarah Roper, and I would be like, I don't know. I don't know a Sarah Roper. I think she lives down the road. Well, Sarah in the orange house with crazy kids. Oh, that's me. Like you
And the cats.
and the cats. Yeah, that's me. So they don't identify themselves as like the surname. They would know
Yeah.
themselves by this nickname kind of thing.
That's
So,
interesting because then when you carry that, the patronymial naming thing, like it to the 1800s Denmark, that tradition still stood because by that time you have millions of Madsons, millions of
mhm.
Larsons. And so even in villages, even the manor houses would write their nicknames too.
Okay.
So you could get a little piece, even though the peasant, the what's it called? They had one of the roughest peasantry systems in Europe, in Denmark at the time. And so their nicknames were really what set them
Yeah.
apart. Like, wait, so it's funny, hundreds of years later, that tradition carried
Yeah.
down.
And
I
it would be
wonder, yeah,
important, but then you really got to be careful what you get stuck with. All the more reason, because it's not just what your buddies are calling you. This is what you are going to be referred to,
yeah.
which
And
means that. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, no, go ahead.
Well, does it mean that people have retroactively gone back and given them these surnames when we are researching them?
No, because in our case in 1850s in Denmark on Sjælland Island, our grandfather is listed even in the manor records and in his leasing households as Gamli Larson, so
Oh,
old,
old
old
Larson.
Larson, old
Gamlin
man.
means old. Yeah.
Mhm. So even on the records of him coming across with pioneers and stuff, everyone called him Gamli Madsen.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So, I mean,
Interesting.
yeah. So I
Okay.
guess you have to be careful what they're gonna call you.
I know. Ugh.
Yeah.
That's kind of like what, yeah. Yeah. Reputation,
It's kinda
names.
like getting a grandma name. Like, some people try to give themselves their own cute ones, but then, I'm
Then
like,
you're,
I feel like that's more like maybe the baby would call you something cute or the daughter-in-law would tell,
yeah.
that's her business to figure out what they wanna call you, I think, 'cause I have lots of
You are
daughters.
in that stage right now. I know.
Yes. But my friends are getting cute grandma names, but I think I am grandma because 'cause I'm kind of formal-ish.
It's like our English proper,
Yeah, I don't know.
because it was our, so we have not too far back, I think it's our great grandmas. We have the fun grandma was our Swedish Norwegian grandma, Sanderson, the
Yeah.
grandma that plays on the floor. That's what she was known as. So that would be her
Yeah.
name, grandma that plays on the floor. And then you
Yeah.
had the strict grandma, the English grandma, who was wonderful and lovely, but she was your proper grandma. So
Mhm,
grandma,
mhm.
I want to be grandma that plays on the floor. But
I wanna be grandma on the floor too. I
Yeah.
am grandma on the floor.
Good, Kim.
So, yes. Okay,
So
anyway.
anyway, so Thorfinn Karlsefni, making of a man, Thordarson, born in 980, so same year as Gudrid.
Okay. So
Some
she
will
didn't
say
have to marry an old man?
no, and some will say 974. I mean, it's a little died 1020, if that helps us understand a little bit when he
Oh,
dies.
that does help, yeah.
Mhm. Born in Iceland, like I said, in this Reyninus Skagaford Bay Area. Beautiful. We have to go there someday. It's like
Yeah.
one bay over from Husavik, which is my favorite weird movie that I love.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then, so he, yes, descended from all the deep-minded on one line, but if you go to this other line, which is the pretty cool, not too far back, he is descended from Ragnar Lothbrok. And do you know who he is?
Mm-mm.
So there's a whole Viking show based on this guy. So if you look up Viking right now and Ragnar, you see this actor pop up with these blue eyes. He's like he's how you want to picture a Viking.
So he
Groomed,
smells good.
smells good, dresses cool. Um, so there's this whole that's the other thing, this pop culture has kind of twisted. It's hard to research now too, because you've got the is it
Manga, manga.
manga thing going on, and then you also have this really cool show that people love. There's lots of seasons. And the one I stopped watching because it was mixing it too much, but um
It
so
made your head hurt because it wasn't
yes,
correct?
wasn't correct, and I'm not even that judgy, but they brought in like the bowl of water, how you wash your face, and the snot thing
Oh, okay.
our Abdul guy told us
Yeah.
about. So anyway, King Ragnar Lothbrok Sigurdsson of Denmark is who he's descended from. And he was a king in Denmark. He was born in Uppsala,
Mm.
Sweden. And so you have Sweden, Norway, Denmark all kind of blended in at this time, which makes sense. They're
Well, in
intertwining,
Uppsala are hardcore pagans, like, that's where
big
the
time.
king sacrificed himself because they were dying.
Yeah, so Uppsala is the Rome of the pagan. It's where they would go every 9 years or 7 years to make pilgrimage to Uppsala to
Mhm.
do rituals, which I want to ask you about more of these rituals. And I don't know if this is the right time or not, but
Not yet.
um, okay.
Not yet.
um, okay, it's not time, but to do these rituals, and so very pagan, very
Yeah,
and devoutly pagan. So he's descended from Odd the deep-minded, devoutly Christian.
right,
First Christian church on Iceland was her.
right.
You know, and then King Lothbrok and his wife, he had 2 wives. His first wife was Thora something, and this is who the show is about. She had 2 sons and a daughter with him, and
Hmm.
then she somehow either dies, maybe not, but his second wife is this Queen Aslog, Sigurd's
Oh,
daughter.
yeah. Oh, okay.
You're
Okay.
gonna know if you have read the Poetic Edda
Yeah.
and that crazy, crazy story, which I think I'm gonna tell, if that's
Tell it,
okay.
sister. Tell it, tell
Because
it.
this is really interesting, and I'm hoping you can help me with this, because it is an actual situation where we're truly blending saga, the Poetic Edda. Is it historical? Is it not? It's the same group of poems where you have Odin waking up the sorceress and learning about the creation of the world and Ragnarok,
Mhm,
all
mhm.
this weird, not weird, but questionably real stuff,
Yeah,
right? Right.
mythical. Yeah,
Same thing about Bible. Like,
right.
okay, did this happen? Is this metaphorical, or um
Foundational stories.
yeah, so here we have this actual lineage genealogy work going in, and now we have this cross point of, oh dear, we have to either believe the saga to continue this line,
Oh.
because what happens is, and this is Thorfinn, so I think he's bringing this energy into this story, right?
Okay. Yes, for
Um,
sure.
so
Yes, for sure.
Ragnar Lothbrok, I'll just tell it pretty quick, but the story happens in um the Poetic Edda. It's it's between you could start it, I guess you would start it maybe at Gudrun Nark Gudrun Narkvitha, the first poem of Gudrun.
Okay.
Gudrun is a girl, a woman. She has a brother named Gunnar and a mom named Grimhild. So you can remember the three G's.
Okay.
Boy, I don't know if I'm telling you this the right way, but we're gonna just go with it. This is the saga, and it's very quickly. It's a love triangle saga, and
Okay.
it's um Brynhild. If you heard of Brynhild, she's a pretty famous Valriki, some would
Oh,
say,
okay. Okay.
or she's just a really important woman historically. Or she's inspired from other women. You can choose. But
Okay.
she is a fiery woman who is in love with a man named Sigurd, and they love each other. But Grimhild, the mother of the two G's, Grimhild, the mother of Gunnar and Guthrun, wants Sigurd to marry her daughter, Guthrun. So she gives Sigurd a drink, tricks him into forgetting about Brynhild and marrying Guthrun. Okay. So it sounds pretty like Midsummer Night Dreamy a little bit.
Fairy tale,
Yeah.
Grimm's yeah, so you can tell there's probably a pearl of truth in there.
Right. Something
Yeah.
somewhere this maybe did happen somehow. Maybe
Yeah.
probably was alcohol, maybe. I don't know,
Yeah.
whatever. I won't rip these apart. I'll take them face
Okay.
value. But
Okay.
you know, feel free to. But so Brynhild, but Brynhild herself is a very some would say she's the sorceress that Odin woke up. Again, that's another we also think
Okay, so she's pretty high in the
yes.
sorcery echelon.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay.
And she's in the sagas, she's a character, she's a Valriki, like I said. She maybe was the one that got waken up in a cave. She's just kind of repeats in these sagas as this super strong woman who all these goddesses like Freya, even Freydis, she's not a goddess, but are pretty powerful, fiery, you don't want to mess with kind of women.
Mhm.
True big
Mhm.
lovers and big don't piss them off kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And anyway, so she loved Sigurd, but Sigurd got tricked into marrying Gudrun, and Brunhild is like, well, the only man that can marry me has to cross this fiery circle. Like
Ooh,
I'm so
okay.
important, I'm so everything that I can't even marry a common man anyway. I don't even know if Sigurd was going to be worthy of me because I have to have a man who jumps the circle of fire
Huh.
over the shields to woo me and win me, right?
Okay.
So, so Gunnar's in love with her, and he's just an average dude, but he wants to marry her. So Gunnar gets his new brother-in-law Sigurd, who's her true
Okay.
love,
Okay.
to disguise himself as Gunnar to jump this ring of fire. So the man she truly loved was actually the man worthy of her. But he was already
Oh.
married, been tricked to marry some other woman, and disguised himself
Oh.
as this normal dude to jump the ring of fire, and she marries Gunnar. So she's tricked like in a couple different ways, right? They're all
Yeah.
tricked, but
Isn't that interesting? That's probably what Swan Lake is based all those kind
okay,
of
yes,
archetypal stories,
right.
right?
They even mention it in some of the summaries I was reading of it. They're like the swan-like theme.
Yeah. Beauty
So
and the
she's
Beast, all that
yeah, right. The disguise, the tricked. Um, and the so that it goes on and it's tragic and eventually she finds out and they all find out that they were tricked and Sigurd is killed and so Brunhild's mourning him and Guthrun's mourning him. Gunnar wants to I don't know, it's just blah 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 blah. So Brunhild and Gunnar is a couple, we know, right?
Yeah.
They have children.
Yeah.
And Brynhild, I'll just finish her story, but we'll come back to that. Brynhild then plans her death, her suicide in a crazy way. The way she describes the pyre, the funeral pyre, she needs 8 slave men, 5 slave women, the head slave, like slaves are involved in this fire. She needs to be buried or put on a wagon because she's going to go to hell,
Mhm.
travel
Mhm.
to hell. And that's another saga.
Mhm.
And she, Justin Finus, she describes the saga, this poem describes, again, these elaborate funeral, burying, and burning. So
That
that's a
she's
whole,
preparing for herself, which is
she's preparing for
interesting.
herself, yes.
Huh.
And Sigurd, she
Interesting.
wants to be burned next to Sigurd with the sword between them. Um,
Which
so,
we find in all the archaeological in a lot of them, we find 2 people,
mhm,
one sitting on his lap with a
mhm,
sword between them, buried that way.
yeah. So either they got this was a thing, or they were inspired by this poem or something. But there's a theme in all of this, and the true things we
Mm.
find, and maybe the true things we're reading. But anyway, so that's kind of legend. This is this big grand, and it's interesting that you say this because people would have known this story. You're normal
Mm.
people, right?
Yeah.
So let's go back to Ragnar Lothbrok, who is a real guy who Thorfinn is descended from, and his first wife dies. Thora, she has 2 kids and a daughter. She dies, or something happens where he's Ragnar in 8. This is now in your 700s, late 700s, early 800s, is
Okay.
out sailing around, and his crew finds this beautiful woman on the shore. And they go back and tell him, they row back and say, there's this beautiful woman on the shore. Her name is Kraka, Kraka.
Okay.
And long story short, she comes on the boat. She like is very clever. And I've told you this. He told her, you can only come on the boat if you're dressed, but not dressed, and you're fasting, but not starving, something. So she has an onion in her mouth to show that she ate, and she's got a fishnet wrapped around her.
Oh, yeah, the
She's that
fishnet
one.
lady.
Mhm.
Keep telling
And
our
wraps her
people.
hair around her and then a fishnet, and she's very mystical or whatever. She's this Kraka, this little child that had been found stranded and raised by these kinda icky people, and this
Hmm.
king, Ragnar, falls in love with her, has sons with her, um, and then he is asked to marry a queen, basically, like, "Let's get you married to somebody worthy of you." So
Hmm.
this woman she's she finds out that he's kind of looking for more they're married and they have babies
Yeah.
and stuff, but maybe a new wife that's a queen. And so she tells him, this Kraka woman says, "I'm actually not Kraka. I'm actually secretly the daughter of Brunhild and Gunnar." So
What?
that's where I'm like,
This is a
"Okay,
real person referring to being the daughter of this
yes.
what we don't know.
Queen Aslag Asperga Kraka Sigurdsdottir." So she's calling
Interesting.
herself Sigurd's daughter. Oh, so she's saying she's Sigurd's and Brunhild's daughter. Uh, I thought she's Gunnar's daughter. Either way, she's saying she's Brunhild's daughter.
And she is a queen.
And she's a queen.
Yeah.
And so then he's like, doesn't want to marry this other queen. And that starts a whole big
Okay.
ball rolling.
So he's a
Of,
gold digger. He's a
and
status digger.
yeah, he's into status. And she ends up being the queen. She ends up being the mother of Ivar the Boneless and Bjorn
Oh.
Ironsides. They start the heathen army to kind of avenge Ragnar's death. So her sons are the heathen army, the great heathen army that takes, half of England, and that's
Yeah.
the whole story. So Thorfinn is descended from
Wow.
this group of people. He's descended through Bjorn Haraldsson, which I think he stays the king
Mhm.
of Uppsala. So he's from this really important legacy, and if you really wanna believe it, super important legacy, like a Valriki woman.
Yeah,
So he's
yeah.
either descended from a Valriki, am I saying it right? Valkyrie? What do
That's
you
how
say
we
it?
say it in our show. That's how we are
Really?
gonna say it. That's what I don't
So
know.
he's either descended from a Norse goddess, Valriki,
Yeah.
well, or and then he's also descended from Odd the Deep Minded, this
Well,
super
which
badass
also
Christian woman.
means the people that probably kidnapped Gudrid's grandfather in Britain were
Okay.
probably that great heathen army.
Yes.
He's gonna end up marrying the daughter of a slave.
Right. Right.
Interesting.
And,
Okay.
um, and because when I was reading all of that, like, "Oh, they're the Great Heathen Army and blah, blah, blah," this is all the same time that you were like, what you have been talking about, so that was all those battles, the Essex and
Yeah.
yeah.
Interesting.
So, yeah,
Wow.
it's kind of the crossroads of, "Oh, shoot, now we're into this interesting part where"
Well, tell it.
well, I mean, that's it,
This can
like
be the whole episode. Just okay.
but that's it, like, that's this love triangle. And it's in there's a whole important saga about it. Brynhild has a saga where she goes to hell, then we follow her to hell. So this is how
In the wagon, she after she got her funeral
it's
pyre
called
and
it's the saga of Brynhild's Ride to Hell. Hellrith Brynhildar. And
it's spelled Hel. It's not the Christian version of
not the
hell.
Christian version of hell
Different.
because it's based off of Loki's daughter with the giantess
More like a
daughter is
trickster hell.
yeah,
Perfect.
and her name is yeah, so, and the interesting part about this saga, Brunhild's Ride to Hell, is that the whole way she's kind of justifying herself. It's a whole saga giving this
Hmm.
Brynhild character the opportunity because she's terrible. She schemes to get Sigurd, her lover, killed because she's just jealous. She's just a murderous killing machine at the end of it until she finally kills herself. And then this saga
Wow.
where she gets to go to hell, it's just her being able to explain, like, here's what happened, and I was tricked, and I loved him, and blah 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 blah. And
So a whole saga of a woman's inner conflict,
it's
which
cool.
that took the time and that was passed down to people,
Hmm.
which meant it was probably passed down through the mothers as they would tell these stories.
Yeah,
It
and she
you
ends up
know,
being a hero.
and if I started a girl band, I would name it Brunhild. What did you call
Yes,
it? Brunhild's
Brynhild, Brynhild. She's people consider her worship her as a goddess along with
Yeah,
Freya
I
and
would call it Brynhild's what is it? Travel to Hell?
Brynhild's Ride to Hell.
That's the group. If we start a band, that's gonna be our name.
Yeah, and the other the part that the very first I found this I started reading it a long time ago. It wasn't for any of this story. It was we were talking about mourning a loss, mourning a death, and how
Mhm.
people grieve. And it talks about Gudrun. Remember Gudrun
Yep,
is her
yep,
mom tricked this guy into marry her, Sigrid, and he dies, and she loves
mhm.
Sigurd. And there's a story of her mourning, and she's sad. She's sitting. She hasn't cried yet. The body
Mm.
of her Sigurd, is lying there, and these people come to her to try to help her mourn. And you see all the different. And in this poetic Edda, you see all these people come and attempt to mourn with her, and the way they do it. And some will come and they'll tell their sad story. I think we've talked about this before.
No, this is beautiful, keep going.
And some will
Wow.
come and kind of cheer her up everybody comes to mourn with her, and they're all doing it wrong because 'cause they're all doing it
Wow.
by telling their own story or putting themselves, their perspective, or and it's funny, it's comical because it's so over the top that nobody knows how to mourn with her. I don't have a
Which
quote or
this has
anything.
got to be a remnant then of, the mourning, rituals surrounding, Norse traditions then. It probably gives us some insight into,
Maybe.
how
'Cause
a
how
woman
do they
is supposed
mourn?
to mourn. Yeah.
Do they mourn this way? Do they come and I don't know, it's she finally said, "Silence," you
Mm,
know, "Just no more words. I'm gonna
mm.
cry now. Let me just mourn." Um, but it was just kind of a funny, I don't know, that's how I first kinda came across it. I was looking up Gudrun and how she was nobody knew how to mourn with her properly.
Oh, that's
Uh-huh.
really fitting for our young widow and our older
Mhm,
widow with, her Theodild's, Eric the Red's widow, and
mhm.
Gudrid as a 20-year-old woman losing a husband and mourning because it is that, that culture of we've talked about the masculine, not the really how as we understand it modern day, but the heroic, brave Viking, you honor your contracts, you're kind of stoic,
Yeah,
you know, and I think and there's a saying, at least in the 1800s Denmark, that a marriage is often made over a coffin lid. So it was more like a practical transaction. When
yeah.
someone dies, you would do that. So, um, you wonder how she mourned. Probably just I
I
don't
don't
know.
know, because these sagas give people a lot of freedom to have emotion. Like,
Yes, that's
if you had to
true.
put Christ canonine Christian stories
You're right.
next to, I don't know if you say canonized, but, uh, res what's the
The
word?
oral traditions, this
Yeah, revered Norse or pagan sagas.
Mhm.
One, the emotion is in these the Norse side. They really humanize people. They humanize their gods, they humanize nature, they humanize men. Men would cry in these sagas too. But then they had the contrast. Well, they had the contrast then of men also, you fought. Like, the good heaven was for the men who died in battle, men and women who died in battle. Hell was for people that died of old age, you know?
Yeah,
Like, the
yeah.
true survivors are people. If you make it to old age, you are the survivor. You succeeded in living, but for them, it was if you die in battle, you succeed and you go to this. So there was that change. That's why I
Yeah,
think the ideal that we have right now of these Vikings is this masculine.
you're right.
And when
You're
you
right.
start reading start really reading, you're almost shocked, like, "Oh my gosh, Odin is hilarious." And
Yeah.
all these sagas are just emotion. They're all mothers and
You
it's
are so
emotion.
right. You're right, because that's the English stuff.
Well, that's what I'm saying is what, and then it's interesting because how you're saying now what it's evolved into
Yeah.
has kind of erased that, right? So you have these women, your pioneer women now, more stoic, and they
Mhm.
lost that
They
emotional.
lost that. That's part of
Mhm.
their Norse tradition, you're right, because even in even in that glimpse of Gudrid participating in the pagan ceremony, there has to be, an emotion built up with kindred and unity and honorable and, and singing, which brings out emotions. And the fact that words were so important in this tradition, the fact that Brunhild said, I no more words, silence,
Yes, right.
speaks a lot that they're giving into the emotional, giving room for that emotional stuff. So I love that you made that point. That's really important.
Mhm.
And you're right, when you look at, like, the runes they've found in the
Oh,
old
yes.
bars and taverns, there's a lot of emotion going on
Yeah.
there. and to
Yeah.
get the berserkers to get ready for war.
Mhm.
They drummed up
Mhm.
spirits and emotions. So yeah,
Mhm.
that is not a correct way to view these people. And the sagas, thank goodness we have them.
Yeah, 'cause otherwise we wouldn't. Like, my mind didn't get changed at the time reading them, and then
Yeah.
I try to yeah, just reading them, it's emotion, and then something you just said, oh, that so I don't know if this is correct or not, but the fact that runes started showing up in this area and these people so far back, BC time, show that they were really trying to use words. I mean, we know, I guess,
Yeah.
runes, like coming back to what we started with the bind rune or bindings, and
Yeah.
that words were so powerful that they even strived as a cultural BC culture to have words have power, writing
Yes.
things down, having
Yes.
symbols for words and letters and sounds and things.
And
It's
that everyone, um, pretty literate society, like
Mhm.
very abnormally literate for that time, that even someone writes down, "Tell Joe to come home from the bar,"
Yes.
or something,
Right.
and we can find
Yeah,
those runes or
right.
yeah, this idea that they wanna express. And
Right.
even
Through
Odin.
words.
Odin
Oh,
hanging upside down was right? Collecting words, and
yeah,
he got
he's
the
hung
runes.
upside 9 days, and then finally he took up the runes, runes are it's the alphabet, but it's so much more. We'll have to have a
Yeah.
they
Yeah,
are
we will need to talk about that,
yeah,
but that's
but they
it.
are each letter represents a word, which
And you're
represents
right. It each letter has emotion to it. It
Mhm,
has a whole bunch of depth and
mhm.
dimensions.
Yeah,
And
one
s
letter represents promotion, one letter represents need, one letter represents you know, don't have a choice in life. I mean, it's
Mhm.
just every letter when you're talking about the Elder Futhark, so these are the
Right.
super ancient ones, and then when you get the Anglo-Saxons, you get the younger Futhark, I think they streamlined it, and that bugged me, but I did start researching it, and they did kinda keep the importance of what these words meant even though they shaved down the amount of
Yeah.
runes that they were using, but yeah, it's just to multitask or have your letters mean
Yeah.
way more than just a sound
And the
is
fact that they used kennings
yeah, I
and
love.
wordplay. So
Mhm.
Odin is rarely call him Odin, they'll use other words to describe signify who the signifier is. And then you can do
Right.
all sorts of cool things with that.
Yeah, and it helps with research because you learn,
Yeah,
that they had this type of mouse because they call a mouse a wall bear or something like that,
yeah.
and that they
And
it's just it's cool.
just like the nickname thing. I mean,
Mhm.
we
Yeah.
you get to understand a little bit where they sat in the community and their families and,
Yeah, they were walking
um
Kennings. That's
yes,
interesting. I love
that's
that.
true. Okay, we love
Yay!
runes. We could talk
Yes.
about that all
Oh,
day.
yeah, we'll have to, cause then
So yeah, so I
yeah,
think we're getting into some really cool territory now.
okay.
It's sad that Gudrid I mean, I'd like to learn I probably will go into a deep dive of the mourning practices because we know the Celtic and the Irish traditions have were so strong that they've stayed down this whole time, but I know that Norse traditions are similar but have been probably lost, as you said. So I wonder what
Yeah,
Gudrid was feeling like. I wonder what Gudrid was supposed to act like. Was there a year that she had to be a widow or,
I don't know.
the Christian if Theohild was trying to be Christian, maybe they had to, I don't know.
Yeah,
But
one thing that is, to think about, though, is that with the Christian mourning, they would have believed that they were going to see these loved ones again. In the
Mhm.
Norse tradition, you don't believe that unless you try to avoid it,
Or they're there, they're sitting
Right,
on your
you
bed trying to
right, you
crawl
don't
in bed
want
with your husband. Yeah.
yeah, you do all you can to not see them after they've passed, until you get to where hell or wherever you're going, and then you can
Yeah.
still have dialogue, and they do believe you have your personality and everything after this life.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, as a Christian widow in Greenland at that time, maybe you would have had some comfort in knowing you'll see him again, you
Yeah,
know?
and I do think even as a Norse woman, the fact that they weren't that shocked that the dead were waking up in the longhouse with to talk to him, or they were all standing
Yeah,
up, and the fact that in some of the sagas, a young boy can call for his dead mother to come back from heaven and bless him,
that's true,
you
right,
know? I do
right.
think they had their own version of how you could cross in and out,
Mhm.
probably. But
Yeah,
yeah, but so she's lost a husband, she's lost a father, she luckily has a new Christian mother-in-law who
yeah.
probably is a
Support
really cool
system.
lady,
Yeah.
and she has a crazy sister-in-law who
Yes,
we'll talk
Freydis.
about,
We'll talk about her.
and then in our next episode, she's gonna go on the adventure that she's most known for with
Oh, are
Thorfinn.
we going there now?
I think we're about ready unless we wanna linger some more on some woo-woo stuff.
Do you wanna do the woo-woo stuff as they prep their journey?
Yes, because we
Okay,
need to pack. We're gonna pack with them. We're gonna
let's
talk
pack
about
all that
how,
they're
'cause they're going to North America in the
yeah, they
year
are.
1002 AD, and
Mhm.
Gudrid is going to have a baby there, hang out there for 3 years, have experiences there, and leave, and up until what, 10, 20 years ago, 15 years ago,
They didn't
this
know that that
story
was real.
stayed in the saga, and it could
Mhm,
have been just whatever, but they've found archaeological
mhm.
evidence for Gudrid being there with her spinning whorl in North America in 1000 AD,
Yeah,
and so how cool is she?
yeah, and
Anyway,
how look at there's that mythical, oh, real, you know?
yeah, yeah,
Mythical, real, so
yeah, it's awesome.
it's
All
cool.
right, join
Alright,
us next
yay!
week. Thank you.
Yeah, go to distaffpodcast.com. Do we have any disclaimers from last time or
Oh,
the
we
time
do have
before?
I have a kind of a big one.
Okay.
I don't know if I wanna disclaim it.
Oh, then don't.
I was very, very tired last week.
Oh, 2 weeks ago, we were very
2
tired.
weeks
Are you
ago, we
talking
were
about
very.
a grandma duty? We had both done
Yes.
babysitting for a week before the episode where we talked about, um, Olga. I can't remember.
Yeah,
We didn't do
Olga.
it justice. We even considered maybe redoing that episode,
But
but
it was, yeah. But,
but it
we're
is
like the Viking people. We'll just give you all our faults and our we're not all good, we're not all bad.
right.
And
Yes.
I might have called a certain indigenous tribe the
A mushroom.
Ashwagandha tribe. And that's
Maybe.
where my foraging gets in the middle.
That's
So
right. I don't
anyway,
think it's an insult.
grandma was tired.
Grandma was on it. Yes, grandma was tired.
I
We were
wanted
so
to admit that.
yes.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Love
Thank
you.
Love you too. Okay,
Bye.
bye.